We have risen from the ashes to school the masses. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Scholars of Wrestling Show, episode 405. I'm your man behind the microphone, Scholar Jeff. Joining us this week is the OG undisputed scholar himself. Now, just a little bit of gold lighter, it seems. Either way, he is still who he is. He is the one and only Scholar Tarek. Scholar Tarek, how are you feeling and how are you grieving?
Grieving? Absolutely not. At this point, but when it comes to me and Brian with the championship, all that matters is that the undisputed scholars are the world championship, keeping it away from you, keeping it away from Scholar Charlie, keeping it away from Scholar Jeremy.
Filthy pedestrians.
Us
dirty pores.
I wouldn't have gotten that far. You did.
I wouldn't go that far. Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't go that far.
You did all but say it, fool.
You know what, fool? We may be the bad guys in your story, but in all, we're just the bad guys that just want everyone to join us. We all want everyone to be on top of that mountain. We want you all to get the accomplishments that Brian and I already have. Now, when it comes to now, who's holding the championship? It's just like, okay, I'm at this point. I'm holding it. You want to fight for it? Yeah, sure. I win. All right, here you go. High five. It's like, all right, I've had my time. Now it's Scholar Brian's turn with the title.
And speaking of Scholar Brian, he is the new reigning and defending Scholars of Wrestling champion and also an undisputed scholar in his own right. He is Scholar Brian. Scholar Brian, how's it feel? How are you feeling this evening?
Huzzah! But it's as he said, it's just like it's inevitable. It really is. We're like Thanos at this point. We are inevitable. Okay, At some point, one of us is going to be holding that title.
So at this point, I'm gonna have to go for the head, won't I?
It's one of those things. Like, we would like for you to join us. We want you to become one of us, but it's like
one of us.
You guys actively try.
We just do
to not make it happen. And we just we take the opportunity and we're like, well, all right, I guess we'll do this again.
And as Brian referenced in our scholars chat, personal chat between us scholars, as he put it, the undisputed scholars don't set the bar. We are the bar. We are the bar of the Scholars of Wrestling. We are the undisputed scholars.
And it's time for everybody else. And it's time for everybody else to start stepping up.
And now we reach out our hands. We reach out our hands to our fellow scholars to join us.
Oh, but before this shit talk goes any further off the rails, and it will, let's take a step back for a moment and see how we actually got here. By recapping the pay-per-view that was, this is our recap for Survivor Series 2022. Pitching over to you, Scholar Tarek, first. I will take my bow when it is. I am the only one who did actually call Austin Theory retaining the U.S. title, actually regaining the U.S. title, rather.
We will say, I was actually rooting for you to get a perfect card, fool.
You were doing close.
You did very well, and with that, we tip our
non-existent caps. I'll take it.
With Brian's case,
I've got a backwards cap, so I'll do the bank.
Okay, we tip our hat to you because you did a very good job with your predictions. And yeah, see, Scholar Jeff, being an undisputed scholar isn't so bad. We're good guys.
Until you decide that you want that big gold belt again. I see you. And hey,
no,
what's that phrase you could say? Game recognized game.
No, it's like we always want the belt. It would be nice if someone else wanted the belt for a change.
Just as much as we want the belt.
Yeah.
because it's still just it's like it's the undisputed Scholars of Wrestling Heavyweight Championship right now, and
At this point,
and Goldie is loving it.
Yeah, it's like at this point we're just passing it back and forth. Hey, buddy,
Exactly.
how you doing?
You want to? It's like, you want to hold her? Yeah, sure. It's nice. All right, here you go. It's your turn. But yes, again,
Dad, I want to hold the baby.
Well, earn it.
Exactly.
Earn it, and you'll get the chance.
Do all your chores and eat all your vegetables, and maybe you can hold the belt.
Yeah.
Good boy.
I see
Good
you.
boy.
I see you.
Pat.
So anyway, back on topic for just 1 second here. Outside of my nearly perfect card and the Usi in the room that everyone seems to be talking about in the week ahead, what are some other highlights that you took away from Survivor Series this year?
The one thing that I took from Survivor Series, I'll just say it right now. I'm just going to throw my facial hair rating right now. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. It was a very good show. It was maybe, if anything, 4.5. Just because Ronda Rousey and Liv Morgan were the only weak point of this pay-per-view or premium live event. AEW is the pay-per-view. WWE is the premium lives. Okay. But yeah, I guess now I can join Scholar Brian with what he said last week of just how bad Ronda Rousey is just on screen. She just, when it comes to being in the ring, she doesn't care. And
I honestly felt so bad for Shotzi. I really want to see her do so well, but I just physically, she's a remarkable athlete to be sure, but like,
it takes two to tango.
Match. Yeah, I saw this match. I'm like, what on earth happened here?
But yeah, that was the only.
I'll tell you exactly what happened. Okay, I agree with Scholar Tarek. I won't go 4.5 out of 5. I'll go 4 out of 5 full beard because yeah, what I said was gonna happen happened, and it will. First of all, I think Shotzi needs a little more seasoning to be great at that level. She's good. She needs a little more seasoning to be great.
Even I said last week, this was her to actually rise of the mid card of the women's division, not being a main event.
Yeah, but you also need someone on the other side who actually gives a shit about what she's doing, and I can honestly say at this point that the Ronda Rousey that first came into the WWE before she left for that year-long time period, okay, she was locked in. She was all in. She was pretty good. But since she came back, holy shit. It's like nothing. Liv Morgan has tried. Shotzi Blackheart has tried. All of her opponents have tried. She couldn't get a good match out of Charlotte Flair. Are you shitting me?
Now it just makes me look back on the triple threat match at WrestleMania and that botched pin finish. Now that
was her.
Yeah, it was her. Now it just adds more fuel to this flame of hashtag Fire Ronda.
Yeah, look, I'm not gonna go that far because that's just whatever, but it's like, take some pride in your goddamn work. You know what I mean? It's like, you know that you're not performing up to your capability. You know
she does that more of a backstage thing, but then when she gets out in the ring, either on a microphone or just in a match, it's kind of just unbearable.
Yeah, but it's like, take some pride in your work, because your legacy is being ruined day by day by how
The
shit.
the impression you made when you had your tag team match with who was you tag with Kurt Angle against Triple H and Stephanie, that's gone.
Yeah, that's gone now. That was like you had like a year run off of that.
Okay, back to Survivor Series. I don't want to keep going on about Ronda Rousey,
But
We could be here all day.
but here's the problem. Okay, that's a part of Survivor Series because that is basically the only thing that brought Survivor Series down. Everything else.
that is the only down thing that came out of this. The women's War Games was a lot of fun. I wish the only criticism I had is that I wish Rhea Ripley did more, but pretty much they just kept taking her out of the equation to just protect her in the you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's one of those for that particular match. If the heels weren't gonna win, okay, then if the heels were gonna win, then Rhea Ripley should have been more dominant than she was. If they weren't gonna win, then they did it perfectly.
And with that, this match just now confirmed Damage Control is a very worthless stable. It doesn't even matter that they're the women's tag team champions. They have been booked so poorly that a 3-on-1 match against Bianca Belair and Bianca still won in a dominant fashion. This segment that happened on Raw after Survivor Series of Becky kicking their ass backstage or leading to backstage with that stand. Becky was destroying them.
And now just so you know, since SmackDown was tonight, Tegan Nox is back and
I saw that.
Is against Damage Control. So it's basically that's their function at this point. Okay, you got they're I enjoy how they started and everything about that, but now it's just like it feels like they're cannon fodder for turns to get other people over. And yeah, Dakota Kai and Io Sky are the tag team champions again, but for how long at this point? Who's the next team they're gonna put over? Are they gonna put over Tegan Nox and whoever she's teaming up with at this point?
They have to find someone to replace Raquel since they wrote her off.
Yeah, so it's like, is that what Damage Control is going to turn into? It's one of those. It's just one of those. I'm not willing to write them off yet.
Or Liv Morgan, not.
Yeah, it's like I'm not willing to write them off yet, but it's like let's get them some convincing victories and not just have them having returns put against them, losing big matches and all that. Let's if you're gonna put together a stable of talent like that, okay, make it work.
Yeah, I definitely feel like they're in a bit of a holding pattern right now until they're waiting to be rejuvenated or refreshed, because I wouldn't call them completely worthless. You can't call a group what's worthless that consists of Io Sky and that entire group people. They still have worth. They're just not being presented
with that worth.
And it's like we know you're better than this. We know you're better than this. We know you're the tag team champions, for God's sakes. What do we do?
I feel like you could sum that one phrase sums up a lot of what we saw this week. We know you're better than this.
At least, I will give them credit now that they're putting more focus on the SmackDown women's division. Because really, they weren't really doing that other than just Liv Morgan or Ronda / Shayna. Other than that, I don't really think they do much with the SmackDown Women's Division. At least they're actually building something here.
Yeah, it's like the old saying goes, big gears grind slowly, and I feel like they're definitely taking steps in the positive direction.
Yeah, with
to
that, with the
expand that,
Lacey
yeah.
Evans promo, they're actually now building the SmackDown Women's Division. They're actually building a division. There you go.
Yes, Lacey Evans is coming back, and they're fixing everything. This is a reality I choose to live with.
Well, now it's a triple. Let's see what a Triple H Lacey Evans can bring.
This is not, at least there's going to be some follow through here. I'll take it. When you're a Lacey fan, you take what you can get.
I hope so. It's one of those, like, I'm hoping good things for you, Jeff, but we've been burned so many times before.
Excuse me, you've been burned so many times before? I'm the Lacey fan. I am the one who suffers here.
Look, here's the deal. Okay, do I see potential there? Yes. Okay, they've tried it 3 times.
Vince McMahon has tried it 3 times. Now let's see what
Vince
Triple H
McMahon Vince McMahon has tried it 3 times. I'm hopeful that Triple H can figure it out, because Vince McMahon obviously could. Okay, hey. If Triple H is able to figure it out, great. If not, look, I hate to be the one to break it to you, Jeff. Maybe she ain't. Maybe she's not all that.
Sometimes all you need to do is just follow through to seal the deal. And very clearly, Vince McMahon, for all of his millions and experience, is unable to seal the deal. And I think we can all agree Triple H has a proven track record of sealing the deal with women like Lacey Evans. I thank you very large.
So the United States Championship Triple Threat was a great match.
Yes, it was. Yes, it sure was.
Yes, it definitely was.
I just chugged a bunch of G Fuel before doing this show. Let's go.
Drinking some of the Lacey Evans lemonade.
He drank all that shit.
Which makes sense for her
G Fuel, contact us. We've got a perfect idea for you. Give me those sponsorship dollars, kids. Come on.
Or just give it to Austin Theory with the blades. What the
this is exactly
look, the Beyblades. That was so wonderful.
Thank you.
This is exactly what Austin Theory should have been the entire time.
What a
Beyblade we don't need the second coming of Drew McIntyre, the chosen one. Okay.
No, we got the second coming of Beyblades.
That's what he is. His character is a commercial.
No, but it's like I'm saying, like, this right now, what Austin Theory is doing. Okay, getting rid of the Beyblades and the commercial and all that. It just the character itself. Okay, what he was with Vince McMahon and what he is with Triple H is 2 completely different characters. Vince McMahon, it was the second coming of Drew McIntyre's the chosen one. Nobody needed that. Nobody needed to see that. Okay, what we're seeing now with Austin Theory is what he should have been the entire time.
Oh, of course.
And so it's like, did I pick him to win? No, because I'm still stuck in Vince McMahon brain.
It's not even just the fact of being in Vince McMahon brain. It's more just on the line, like, we both said it on the prediction show. We picked Seth Rollins because we wanted to see Austin Theory win it 1-on-1 against Seth, not as part of a triple threat.
Yeah.
But the triple threat really worked in his favor with, in a way, he did sort of do, like, the idea that we discussed, that the 3 of us discussed last week, but we didn't expect it to be on Rollins. We were all saying, oh yeah, Bobby's going to be the one taking the pin. But no, looks like they're breeding him to be a Roman Reigns challenger in the near future, so we can't pin him.
Hey, all roads lead to Rome and Reigns. But speaking of him, Can we all just agree that this was probably one of the most rock solid parts of the show, if not the best? The conclusion of the Bloodline winning the men's
Wait.
War Games match.
You have
you
you can't
got one.
you can't just talk about the match itself. You have to talk about the story that was presented throughout the entire night. Which,
it was flawless.
Everything.
It was the best part of the show.
The entire story, emphasis, story of this was absolutely brilliant.
It's like the match itself was fine.
The match itself was really good.
Yeah, it's like the match itself was good, but it's like you're going into that. Okay, you're just like everything just based off of SmackDown the week before. It's like everything is all fucked up in the Bloodline. Everything, all of it. How are they gonna come together? How are they going to make this work and beat beat the Brawling Brutes, Drew McIntyre and Kevin Owens, and everything about this worked. Everything. It's like not it was flawless storytelling. Like I haven't seen a story build that so flawless. Okay, where it's like we all know how this is gonna end. We all know. It's like we can fantasy book this until the end of time, but we all know how this is ending. but it's like the story to get there, and the fact that Sami Zayn is now an actual honorary Uce, whether it's actually true or not, or they're playing him or all that, it's like, okay, now you've got Jey Uso locked in. Okay. He's hugging Sami Zayn and doing all that. I'm like, okay, we're here now. So it's like when they actually do turn on him and beat him down, the payoff is got to be that much bigger. That's it.
I have to admit, though, with all of this, it sort of caught me off guard because I expected them to do something with Sami, but I confess I did not expect the payoff to be this big, this dramatic, and just plain this good. This was easily the highlight of the show, and it solidified Sami Zayn as one of the top draws in the entire company, which I always knew he was good, but this really just took him to the next level and really made him shine in a new way.
I'll even take it one step further. I think this now solidifies, from him going telling Roman the truth in the backstage segment, and the storytelling of Roman basically showing Jey goes first in the War Games. He's the one has to deal with the odds against him, and the moment when Jimmy was going to go and Roman stopped him and sent Sami instead, it was the test for Sami. And the entire story of the match and backstage was just, what's Sami? How loyal is Sami? And and for me, I feel like now this solidified him as the top babyface of the company. What makes it even better? What makes it even better? He is the top face of the company in the top heel stable of the company. And the funny thing is, it's now even just his oosiness is bringing such positive. And so when the turn does happen, you're seeing these segments on Monday and Thursday. When it comes to Jimmy, Jey, and Solo, I think the feeling is genuine. So he's legit giving him a hug. He's really showing, you've shown your loyalty to my family. Like what Jay said, you showed my loyalty to my family. I now believe you. And after that long storytelling, it was just the payoff of just finally seeing Jey give him that big of a hug, and then Sami accepting, he's really giving me a hug. But then you're also seeing the tragedy of Sammy's choices when he keeps looking back to Kevin Owens and when he was holding Kevin Owens after he gave them the haluva kick. It was just beautiful storytelling with that came from Sammy. So I think this deserves like a title win for Sammy.
I'll tell you what, I wouldn't have
like,
believed that like maybe even a year ago, but after this build, I'm all for it. It's way more viable now.
But the thing is, like, you have to ask the question if like that's going to be the case, but when is it going to happen? Especially with this with the plans on of Roman facing The Rock at WrestleMania.
Well, because this is my thing. It's I think this storyline build is more for a tag team match with the Usos.
Oh yeah, that's what they're going for with him. Yeah,
to take their titles. It'll be Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens
at WrestleMania. Back up, yeah,
when the turn actually happens, and I don't know if it'll be Roman Reigns versus The Rock, but I think I think it would be smarter for them to have the Roman Rock match later and have everybody lose their titles at WrestleMania. So whoever wins the Royal Rumble at Mania or at the Royal Rumble goes in and beats Roman Reigns, and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn beat the Usos, and that just wipes out the Bloodline in one clean shot. And that's it.
I would agree with that, but I feel like it's now reached that point where Sammy's popularity has gotten so big, which I do agree the tag team title match is going to happen. But in all honesty, I think WWE's best shot to making the Royal Rumble work is if you take Sammy out.
I'll tell you what, that is one possibility, but I'm going to illustrate my point with another possibility. What if the final three in the Royal Rumble next year are Sami Zayn, The Rock, and Cody Rhodes?
You can't have it. I'm trying to look at this. Do you think? Okay, you know what? Continue with like, what would your result be?
I'm going to say my point is that the result really doesn't matter here.
Oh, it
not
does.
As I'm going to say. My point being is that to me, there's so many different interesting ways that this story can proceed and even end, whether it's Roman and Rock at WrestleMania or Sammy and Roman setting up some big turn because of some big turn. I'd say honestly, any number of these results for the WrestleMania match would be just as interesting to me because of the parties involved and their talent. You see what I mean?
I see what you mean, but the difference is that crowd, if Sammy doesn't win the Rumble, if he gets eliminated at any point, the crowd will turn on the match. It will be Daniel Bryan.
It's gonna be Daniel Bryan. It's gonna be
that level
Bryan
bad. The fans
We're here now.
The fans will hijack the hell out of the Royal Rumble, which, like I said,
based off of what I've heard,
the only way for you not to have the fans turn on the Rumble is you have to take Sammy out. And I feel like the turn has to be before the Royal Rumble. And it has to be enough to take Sammy out storyline wise, like as an injury, as a way to just take him off TV for a bit. Because you can't have Sammy in that because you do it
at the Royal Rumble because Roman Reigns isn't going to be in the Rumble. So if he's having a match for the title and then you beat the shit out of Sammy right before the Royal Rumble starts and he can no longer participate,
I'd say hit him at the go home show of Royal Rumble.
No, I do it.
I'm not
I
sold
would
on
do
that.
it. I would do it if it like I'm not as convinced that it would be a hijacking situation,
Oh, it definitely will.
but no, I'm not convinced. But it's also look, it's also if you're gonna do it, okay, you don't do it. If you want the maximum impact, okay, you do it on the show. You do it at Royal Rumble. You take them out. Okay,
Yeah.
because it's like that Roman Reigns, the Usos, the Bloodlines, full booing, full heel. Okay, you do it at the show. Okay, if you do it at the go home show, it still hits, but I don't think it hits as hard. If it doesn't hit the same as if you do it. He's advertised for the match, and then the Bloodline takes him out
I just feel the one
before
thing
the
I feel
match.
about it is like it's when the turn happens, it's going to be such an emotional impact because you're also because I feel that the Usos and Solo are going to be they're going to do it, but they're going to be pretty much like upset that they're going to do it, but they have to do it in orders for Roman, continuing the crumbling of the bloodline.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Because
saying.
there was still there. So now when you have like you have the action happen on the go home show. So now when you have them the next night, you can focus the time instead of having the segment there. You see the effects of it now that like they're broken about it. They're just now angry, but they have to do it. They have to like look down towards their like look down at their tribal chief type of ordeal. Continue solidifying like how much of a just piece of shit heel Roman is.
Here's the thing about that. I personally am not totally convinced that you're going to get that reaction from Sami Zayn where Sami must win just because of the different circumstances between, not that he's not loved, he absolutely is, but I see some key differences between the rise of Daniel Bryan versus the rise of Sami Zayn. But here's the thing though, if they do it the way you're describing, even though I personally may not believe that's the way it's going to go or should go, it's weird because I would not be opposed to that because it's still good. If that's the way they want to go, there's plenty of ways to make that good, to make that engaging. And that's honestly the thing that I love about this whole segment. There's so many ways it can go, and most of them are good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like me personally, I would do the turn at the Rumble itself, but it's like it would be like whenever you do it, okay, the drama is so high that no matter when you do it, it's gonna work.
And it's gonna hit us all at an
and it's
emotional
gonna hit
level.
and it's gonna hit hard.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like they've worked it well enough where whatever they do at this point, it 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 will be very hard in a Triple H era to fuck this up. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so Brian and I gave our facial hair rating. What about you, fool? What's your facial hair rating on this?
My facial hair rating before we move on is a damn solid 4 out of 5. Full beard. For all the reasons you guys just described, there were some really hefty shortcomings, but what landed hard, especially with the exclamation point that was the men's War Games match. It's like initially, like I was a little tired towards the end of the show, but once that last sequence, it was more than enough to perk me up and get me engaged right back to where I needed to be. And got me excited about the setup for the weeks and months to come leading up to WrestleMania, wherever that may land.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, very, very strong, full 4 out of 5, full beard. And the action continued on Monday, where we got on Monday Night Raw, we got Kevin Owens going over Jey Uso, which, despite any slaps heard around the world, so to speak, it looks like they're still absolutely on for Roman versus Kevin Owens at the Royal Rumble.
I'm not a big fan of the fact that he's just getting another match just to lose.
Yeah.
It's like, I get it, but at least this point, at least this time, it works towards storytelling. I'm like, no, it's like the last time it was just, we need somebody to lose 3 times to Roman. It's like this. It was like the storytelling was subpar and whatever. This actually has purpose. It's leading towards something. So it's like, we know he's gonna lose, but at this point, based off of what will come after it, I'm okay with it.
You think there's going to be the Hell in a Cell match that was rumored going to be on this show?
I'm not so certain about that, but it sure would make sense if it did. I think the Hell in a Cell match is going to go to someone else. I'm not convinced that this match in particular needs it or warrants it in any way. I just think it's going to be straight up grudge match. I want the title, give it to me, or I'm going to beat it out of you kind of deal.
Okay.
Plus, if we're leading up to a Royal Rumble another or a WrestleMania match for somebody else, if that's going to be their end game, I don't see them spending the Hell in a Cell on Owens versus Reigns. I just, if that's the route they're going, I don't see that match being big enough to really warrant that, if that makes sense.
I mean, they do have the history.
They do. I just, maybe it's more of how the build is hitting me. It just doesn't seem like, maybe they can pull off more in the next 3 weeks. But personally, I just don't feel like they're there yet.
That's fair.
That's just me. But speaking of people who could be in a Hell in a Cell, they finally made it official. We finally got Dexter Lumis getting a solid win over The Miz.
Oh God.
He's officially part of the Raw roster now.
It only took 4 months. What do we do?
Yeah, it was a little late, but I'm just glad, like, okay, yeah. Dexter Lumis is here now. Give us some more Dexter Lumis goodness, and for a little love of everything good, stay away from The Miz. That overstay its welcome. Just go. Pass.
No, it's like, now it's just going to be Johnny Gargano versus The Miz now. Because that's the feud that really matters.
And you know what? I would accept that. I'd be cool with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just fresh enough, and Dexter Lumis can go on terrorizing somebody else. Maybe in a Hell in a Cell match. I don't know.
Why would you want Dexter Lumis in the Hell in a Cell?
It's for maybe not at Royal Rumble, but in a proper setting for a good feud. I can see this being something good. I really, really can.
Yeah, but it's not gonna be the Hell in a Cell match or Royal Rumble.
Triple H is wanting to have the Hell in a Cell match actually mean something as part of a feud, not just part of an event. So for his first Hell in a Cell match back to its prime or what it was made
it's not gonna
be anything for like Dexter Lumis or Miz.
Oh no, I'm not saying this year or 2023 Rumble, but I can see it being a blow off to whatever feud Dexter Lumis may find himself in the future. If that's it may not be the Hell in a Cell. If a Hell in a Cell match must happen for 2023's Royal Rumble, I feel like it's not the right time for either of these guys, either Kevin Owens and Roman or Dexter and whoever. I just don't feel like it fits 100%. But again, it's one of those ideas that if they did do that, I wouldn't be opposed. I just don't think now's the right time.
Okay.
Can't argue with that.
Of the two possibilities that you said, I
Of
would
the
say
two,
Kevin
it's
Owens.
Kevin Owens. It's
is in
Kevin Owens and
Roman.
Roman Reigns, no matter what.
I will not.
Definitely.
I will
if
not
you have to
dispute
pick,
this. I will not
Yeah.
dispute this.
it's the
I just thought
that feud was lackluster, and I realized that you love Dexter Loomis, but now is not
Yeah.
it's not time to
Oh no, I was
have him in
never. I
a big
was
thing.
never presuming that. I can just see the possibilities now that Dexter Loomis is freed from the Miz umbrella, so to speak. I can see him being utilized in a lot more interesting ways,
He can go stalk someone else.
such as a Hell in a Cell match with someone else months and months down the line. And again, the right way, it can be great. And
Yeah,
I
he can
just
go
don't.
be DDP when he first came in WWE, but as a good guy to someone else.
And then he starts doing yoga.
And then he starts doing.
Because why not?
Instead of the big smile, it's just his big
blank stare.
Yeah. That's
Dexter
not a
Loomis,
bad thing.
creepy yoga instructor.
No, it's like, and that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing.
No, he doesn't
Roll
even
out the
say
yoga
anything.
mat and do some characters.
You're doing some stretches, and he's not even saying anything. He's just looking directly at you. Am I doing this right?
Everyone just stretches out of fear. Meanwhile, Indy Hartwell's just like the one who's actually leading the class and actually demonstrating the poses, and Dexter is just like standing there,
making sure everyone's doing it right. Yeah.
Damn, this to end off the rails. What do you say we give WWE a break for tonight, and let's check in with what AEW is doing first on Dynamite.
With that,
yes.
Before you do Dynamite, I'll just give a little Scholars quick talk. Of the two pay-per-views, which one did you Full Gear and Survivor Series? Which one did you enjoy more?
That's a good question. I feel like,
plus it's a good way to transition WWE to AEW. So,
and what my answer to that is, they felt like two very different shows. WWE Royal Rumble, yes, they are. However, in their presentation, they were a little bit different. To me, Survivor Series felt like a feature-length movie with a satisfying conclusion, even though there were some rough parts in the mid. AEW Full Gear felt a lot like your favorite music festival, where you're on your feet for hours and hours and hours at a time. You get a steady diet of a lot of stuff that you love, but at the end, once you've reached the final stage, the final set of the night, you are absolutely exhausted, but it's the good kind of exhausted. So in that sense, they're right, exactly. It's just like you got nothing left in the tank. At the end of the night, MJF's win is just like, yay, I got what I wanted. Okay, we're going to bed. But
I won't go the full metaphor, but
but just before we continue, I'm going to say I enjoyed Full Gear a lot more because it gave me more of what I want. Continue.
Yeah, I'll say it without the metaphor. It would be like Survivor Series had a major glaring weak spot. Okay, where its great stuff is great and its good stuff was good, its weak stuff was weak. Okay, whereas Full Gear was consistent all the way through. I didn't hate anything. There was nothing that was inherently bad. It was just consistent all the way through. So for a show all around, okay, it was Full Gear. Even though the best thing happened on Survivor Series. That
Mhm.
Bloodline storyline, all that was perfection. Okay, but perfection is all well and good, but if you're not consistent all the way through, then I can't give you the best show.
Absolutely. And Fool, which one did you? It was your Scholars Quick Talk. Which one did you think was the better show?
Like I will like to the extent agree that they are very different show. They are very different presentations, and that's what I love about them, is that I loved both shows, but they were like for very different reasons. The question on which one did I like, which side did I enjoy more, the long going narrative that Survivor Series had, or just the anthology chapters that Full Gear showed us? I'm probably gonna give it to Full Gear as the one I enjoyed more, because the one thing about Survivor Series is, as great as the Sami Zayn Bloodline storyline is, I'm now reaching that point where as much as I love it, and it is amazing and it is great storytelling, I just hate that it's now at the cost of the rest of the roster. At least making their stories, their storylines, their positions on the roster matter. And I just don't feel that way. I just feel like main storyline, Bloodline, with like supporting cast that don't really matter as much. They're like uh Dragon Ball characters in Dragon Ball Z. Slowly getting pushed to the point where it's like you have the Saiyans, the Bloodline here, and all the other characters are just over here. At least with AEW, every story, like even though they're like at different points and like of the main event and upper mid card, they still felt important. They still felt like this is something that you have to watch, like that you have to focus on with our product. And like I said, I love the narrative that WWE is doing, but I just feel more like it's more important, like to pay attention to the whole show than just like here's like intermission stuff for our main show. You know what I mean?
I can see that. And the way you put it is very, very apropos. The AEW Full Gear and most of their pay-per-view events really for AEW, all they do feel like anthology shows. They're all just like there's all these different stories that are all happening all at once, even though they're very long shows. You definitely get, no matter what you like, you're going to get some of it at an AEW show. I think you nailed it with that one. Which, when it comes to AEW, obviously all the eyes of everyone are on the doings of MJF at the moment and his new Burberry championship.
What was
And
your response with that reveal?
I feel like it's appropriate, but I feel like the colors didn't pop enough. Like it just seemed like a brown belt to me.
Yeah, it's like
I thought it was.
Yeah, it's like I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about the belt design or all that because that's just MJF being a dick, and that's what MJF is. So, but it's also
If
but
there's anyone to have their first custom AEW World Championship,
oh yeah,
it's MJF.
it's MJF, and
fits.
he did exactly what I expected him to do. He's of course he was going to attack William Regal. Of course he was. Did you really think he wouldn't? This is MJF just being MJF, and MJF being MJF is the best character on TV right now. Other than is okay, the second best, and that's close.
The
Based
best in
on,
AEW. How about that?
yeah, yeah, it's just like you
That's a
know
background.
exactly what's gonna happen, but you love every minute of it because you know it's gonna happen. You know how it's gonna go down, but you can't. look away from the screen because he's just so magnetic. It's just
How do you guys feel about this whole thing of writing William Regal off because he's now going back to WWE?
If true, I feel like as much as like there's been back and forth and talk all over the map when it comes to this, it really strikes me as being very appropriate. If they want to write him off somehow, I think this is all but an ideal way to do it. Send him, have MJF beat him down, get some heat, and give him another reason for the good guys to like really get on him. Like, hey, run away, run far, far away, as far as you can, and don't stop. Hey, if you're going to stop anywhere, it makes sense.
Because it's one of those. It's like you've already pissed off your main guy. You pissed off Jon Moxley. Okay, he wants to beat the shit out of you, and the guy who you turned on him for actually did.
Actually kills you.
So it's like you're not gonna get. You might get help from Bryan Danielson and Claudio and all that, but Claudio's got his own thing going on with the JAS right now, so he's probably gonna be a part of them in a bit because of what's going on. So it's like if this is how they're writing him off, it makes sense because he burned his bridges. Moxley seems like a guy who Dean Ambrose will get back together with you if the time comes. Jon Moxley seems like a guy, once you burn that bridge, it's done. That's it. And William Regal did that for the guy who immediately turned on him and beat the crap out of him. So it's one of those where it's like that's probably the way to do it. If you're gonna write him off, that's probably the best way to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
because
are we all in agreement? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Because apparently, from what I've read, he's not going to be an on-screen presence in the WWE. He's going to be a backstage producer. So it's like, if that's the way he's written off of TV permanently, MJF taking him out, hey,
it fits.
Feather in your cap.
and he it gives reason for like Danielson's inevitable feud with him. Whatever else is in store for him. Ricky Starks. Who else did he say?
Eddie Kingston.
Yeah. Eddie Kingston. Yeah,
Eddie Kingston.
He's still gonna lose. Jeff, the big story of AEW right now is MJF having the AEW and he's doing the bidding wars of 2024. He's not losing the championship. Especially to someone like Eddie Kingston.
No one thinks he's losing the championship to anybody anytime soon. Okay.
Key operative phrase here. Anytime soon.
It's not going to be Eddie Kingston. He's not winning that belt. He's never going to win it.
No one is saying he is. Let us enjoy who we enjoy. We let you enjoy Claudio all you want.
The odds.
We let you enjoy Claudio all you want.
Okay. All I'm saying is that the odds are not in his favor, but they're never zero.
Of course they're negative.
Now that's the odds of Eddie Kingston winning the AEW championship are low, but never zero. That's a good enough thing for me.
Yeah, because it's below zero.
You can't have negative numbers. You can't divide by zero. That's not possible. As a matter of fact, if you try to divide by zero, that's how you get as AEW champion.
No, that's all right, Torek. I'll have AEW bringing the great cheese just for you.
Eddie Kingston walks out with the AEW championship. Eddie, how'd you win the AEW championship? Somebody divided by zero, brother.
How'd you beat him? Taekwondo.
Cue the 80s training montage of Eddie Kingston learning Taekwondo. That's how champions are born. But yes, all laughs aside, any other highlights from AEW that jumped out from you this past week?
I enjoyed
Samoa
the
Joe
fact,
is the best.
Yes, he is.
and also
this is not news.
but it's also like very organic feud making here. John Moxley gives Hangman Page a concussion.
Yes.
Hangman Page comes back out and is legitimately pissed off about it. Yeah, as he should be. And then Moxley just goes, "Oh, do you not remember what happened the last time we fought? What happened the last time you stepped up to me?" And of course that ends up in a pull apart brawl. I'm like, that's just organic. That is simple organic storytelling, and we're gonna get a great match out of it.
And
So,
the fact that Moxley actually fell off the stage during that pull apart brawl actually made it feel more organic. Because he's like, all of this is, it makes me want to beat the shit out of this guy. Wait, where am I? Whoop! Oh, I'm over here. Well, it doesn't matter. I still want to beat the shit out of this guy. Oh, yeah, that was so much. That's the feud I'm actually really looking forward to. But it also just points out the hilarious note is Moxley's never going to go on vacation, is he?
No, that's a dude. That's a dude where if he has scheduled time off and he doesn't get to take it, he's just like, well,
oh, I
guess I'm here now. I guess I'm here now.
Oh man,
I'll flat out say it.
Through it.
Yeah. I'll flat out say it right now. Scholar in the Schollies Awards next year for their next one, he's my wrestler of the year. Between the performances he's turned in and the workhorse mentality he's exhibited wherever he goes, he is my pick for wrestler of the year for 2022, bar none.
Easy.
Oh,
I'm not hearing any argument there.
There is no argument.
Okay, I'm not the only crazy
you get
one.
No, it's not crazy to say that he's the MVP of his brand. Okay, it's like there are a bunch of people who you could bring up as wrestler of the year candidates.
Oh, that's what I love about
they're all
this year.
great. But it's like, and it's all well and good. But if you're looking for an MVP of a brand, okay, there's no contest.
Oh,
that's it.
Absolutely.
It's done. That's it.
No doubt in my mind.
It's John Moxley all day, every day for MVP. Best wrestler of the year. I'm not entirely certain, but MVP, yes, sir.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Well, on that little thing that we can all agree on, those are our official thoughts on This Week in Wrestling and Survivor Series. So now is a part of our show where we pitch it over to you, our fellow fans. What did you think of Survivor Series? What do you think is the better show between Survivor Series and AEW Full Gear? All those thoughts and more we want to hear from you. So drop us a line all across our socials. Well, where can he reach you?
You can reach me at the Avataric.
And Brian, where can he reach you?
You can reach me shining my non-existent belt because I'm in locations unknown at Atomic Beanpole.
Don't worry, Brian. Don't worry, Brian. I can polish it for you.
Yeah.
And you can find me avoiding all of that kind of talk at I'm Robbie Rage. And for all of those hashtags and accounts and more,
keep avoiding going for the title because it's still with the Undisputed Scholars Fool.
Hey, there's a fresh year coming with full of fresh possibilities, and you'll all hear more about them and my Twitter account at I'm Robbie Rage. And as always, you can check the description for a link to our link tree for all of these links and more and the latest updates. That's linktree/Scholars of Wrestling, or just click the link in the description below. And with that, we are out. That is another week in the books. But we're going to be back next week because you know who we are. We are the Scholars of Wrestling, and you have just been schooled. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
See you all next week for more madness.